Good morning, everyone. My name is Lisa Bono. I am Director of Operations for Choices. To our partners, distinguished guests, member of our staff, family members, and media, on behalf of Choices, I would like to extend a warm and sincere welcome for coming today. Minister Piccini, MPP Cirillo, MPP Lumsden, MPP Fernan, and MP Sabaway, thank you for being here and choosing Choices for today's special announcement. Choices was founded 45 years ago by a group of dedicated volunteers who recognized the need for better support for adults with developmental disabilities in our community. Today, Choices supports many adults across our supported group living residences, supported independent living programs, and community participation programs. This important work is made possible by our team of over 100 staff who each day support individuals to live their lives based on their own goals, preferences, and abilities. Their hard work and dedication are vital, not only to those we support, but the community at large. Choices is indeed part of the fabric of the community, and when our work is supported, the community is strengthened. And that's what today is all about. So again, thank you for all being here, and it is my pleasure to welcome Benga Kolapo to the podium.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Benga Kolapo, and I am proud developmental support worker. I'm speaking to you today as someone who has spent more than 10 years supporting our most vulnerable neighbor with everyday living. People with developmental disability, our elderly, our young people with cognitive impairment who have their life ahead of them, or people who deserve dignified care. As a DSW, care is at my core. We are there to help our loved ones live their best life. We show up in difficult moments, help people build independence, and DSW, like me, create stability and belonging. And in doing so, workers like me deliver care with high risk of workplace injury. It is work that means everything to me, but it also comes with exposure to physical demand on our bodies. To be clear, getting hurt is not our job description. So, when injuries do take place, we need economic security so we can focus on healing and not worry about going broke due to loss of income. That message SIU and other unions have been sending to politicians at Queen's Park. We don't do this job for recognition. We do it because we care, because we believe in the people we support, and because we know how important this work is. We continue to show up every day, supporting some of the most vulnerable members of our community, doing work that requires patience, skill, and compassion. And all along, with Tyler, our great union by our side, we never stop fighting for fairness. Minister, thank you for hearing us and bringing us together. I'm introducing our MP, Cirillo.
Good morning, everyone. It is a wonderful day to be here in Hamilton, surrounded by so many of my colleagues traveling in. We have Minister David Piccini with us. We have my colleague, Minister Lumsden, and PA Sabaway and Farron, as we propose an important legislation to protect frontline care workers right here in Hamilton and across the province. Thousands of workers in privately operated residential care facilities and group homes, many of whom support seniors, people with disabilities, and vulnerable residents, have historically faced gaps in protection simply because of who operates their workplace. I recently had the opportunity to visit the village of Wentworth Heights and Macassa Lodge, both of which are in my riding of Hamilton Mountain. In addition to participating in their extensive activities and events available to residents, I had the opportunity to spend time speaking with residents and their families. It's clear from those conversations that caregivers take on the critical role of creating a sense of comfort and stability for residents, while also giving families peace of mind knowing that their loved ones are in the hands of experienced and compassionate professionals. Our care homes do not run without our nursing and residential care workers. In Hamilton, they show up every day to support our most vulnerable members, and they deserve to know that they are protected when they do so. Our Ontario government, under the leadership of Premier Ford, is closing the long-standing gaps in ensuring fairness across this sector. Alongside Minister Piccini, I am proud to stand with our Ontario care workers. Now it's my honor to welcome Victoria Mancinelli from LiUNA to the podium to share a few words. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. LiUNA is proud to represent thousands of workers across Ontario's healthcare and industrial sectors. Women and men who do essential work every day, often without recognition, but whose impact is felt in every community and every family. As Ontario's population ages, demand for home care is growing. More seniors want to remain in their homes, and it is home care workers who make that possible. They are not secondary to our healthcare system, they are central to it. But too often, these workers are alone, entering private homes, facing unpredictable environments, and real physical and emotional risks without the protections they rightfully deserve. That needs to change, and it is changing through strong collaboration between government, labor, and industry. With leadership from partners like SEIU and Tyler Downey, we are building a system that reflects the realities of modern care, a testament to what we can achieve for workers and families when we come together and get it done. No worker should ever fall through the cracks because of where they work. They deserve fairness and the critical support needed to keep them safe, protected, and properly cared for. Because if we expect these workers to care for our loved ones, we must ensure they are cared for too. Thank you to our friend, Minister David Piccini, for your steadfast leadership, working with labor unions to turn commitment into direct action. And to every worker who shows up every single day to provide essential care, we see you, we value you, and we will continue to work together to ensure your voice is heard, your work is respected, and your dignity is never compromised. It is now my pleasure to introduce our next speaker, and his leadership is really part of the reason why we are here today. President of SEIU Healthcare Canada, Tyler Downey.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Tyler Downey, and I'm the proud president of our great union, SEIU Healthcare Canada. Lisa, it's great to be with you and everyone here at Choices. In some ways, it's the birthplace of DSW Advocacy, with humble but amazing frontline care workers like Sandy Green, who led the fight for years to get us to this moment today. It's great to be with Minister MPP Chirello, MPP Lumsden, right here in Hamilton, MPP Sabawi, and MPP Fearon. As a union leader, I can tell you that all of us at SEIU are always proud to stand in solidarity with Victoria and LiUNA anytime we're here in Hamilton. And of course, I couldn't be more proud of SEIU members like Kabenga, who told us about the costly risks that group home and retirement home workers face in the service of others. Today is a long time coming. As Sandy Green always reminds me, and as Kabenga said so well, it's about hope for a fight that has stretched decades. A fight led by workers, by unions, and by people who never stop insisting that care workers deserve, like DSWs, deserve economic fairness and security. We've heard about what care work looks like in real life. It looks like compassion. It looks like patience. It looks like showing up day after day for people with development disabilities, for seniors, and for others who depend on support to live with dignity and independence. Everyone deserves full lives, lives full of meaning and belonging, and that's exactly what care workers enable. Care workers deserve a better deal to recognize their contributions. But for too long, care workers in group homes and retirement homes have done that job without the protection they should have had when they were hurt on the job. And that's why today matters so much. What our unions and workers have been fighting for is more than policy change. We are seeking a level of protection that matches our values as Ontarians. Minister Piccini shares these values. He shares our union values, values that recognize the dignity of the work, values reflected in our laws that say when workers are injured, they should be able to focus on healing, not on how they will pay the bills. We raised our voices, we told our stories, and we deserve action. Minister Piccini, thank you for doing exactly that. Thank you for turning words into action. And thank you for standing with us. We share the responsibility to stand behind the people who spend their lives caring for others. That's our duty. We applaud the work of you and your government of Ontario for listening to workers and taking action to better protect the jobs of those who care for some of the most vulnerable people in our communities. It's my honor to welcome you to the podium. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ty. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for being here today. Thank you, Tyler, for that introduction. To PA and colleagues, Sharif Sabawi, Mo Firin, MPP Monica Ciriello, and colleague Minister Lumsden, all of whom are here with me today. And it's really reflective of the priority that Premier Ford and this government places in today's announcement. Lisa from Choices, thank you for hosting us. Omar, Benga for that incredible story that he told today. Of course, Ty, who's here today, President of SEIU Healthcare, Victoria Mancinelli from LiUNA, Ryan Hafner, Vice President at WSIB, our partners. We wouldn't be here today without them. I want to say a big thank you to our hosts here at Choices. Omar and Lisa, we appreciate you having us here today to deliver this great news. To Sandy and other incredible workers here today, thank you for the work you do. Today is about you, the workers. And I'd like to commend the entire team for the meaningful work you do to support people with developmental disabilities. The impact of your work reaches far beyond this organization. It strengthens families, it enriches communities, and reflects the very best of what serving our communities is all about. It's about our shared values, as Ty mentioned earlier. Our government has been clear. Workers deserve to be protected. Whether it's on a construction site, in a restaurant, or in a home care setting, you deserve to be protected. And right now, thousands of frontline home care workers, community care workers, and workers in residential care facilities, group homes, go to work every day without guaranteed WSIB coverage. Some may need to negotiate these protections in their collective agreements between their union and employer, while others just don't have them at all. But what does that actually mean? It means a worker can show up for a shift, do everything right, and still face the risk of being injured on the job without the certainty of supports that come with it. It means that if someone is hurt lifting a client, responding to a behavioral incident, or dealing with a medical emergency, they may not have access to wage replacement. They may not have access to proper medical support. And they may not have that clear path back to work that is provided working so closely with the team at WSIB. For many of the people in this room, this isn't theoretical. This is real. This is the difference between being able to recover with dignity or facing the financial stress while trying to heal. It's the difference between stability and uncertainty for you and your family. And it's happening to workers doing some of the most important and demanding work in our communities, like those workers here today behind me, who support individuals with a complex set of needs. I want to take a moment to recognize how we got here. We're surrounded by some pretty incredible labor leaders in this room today. We have an incredible champion for workers in Victoria Mancinelli, who's always rolled up her sleeves to find real solutions to help and benefit workers, and I'm grateful for that partnership. And I've often said the foundation of good public policy is a collaborative relationship between industry, labor, and government. And I really want to acknowledge a very special leader today, Ty Downey, and the leadership that he has shown at SEIU. Through Ty's strong and pragmatic, powerful leadership, we've solved problems together. He's been such a powerful champion for bringing the voices of healthcare workers to Queen's Park. And with that, I want to recognize a very special worker, Sandy Green. Sandy's a developmental support worker working over 40 years and a frontline advocate who has helped bring these realities forward. I had the opportunity to meet her the other day and to sit down with Sandy, Ty, and other frontline care workers for a roundtable discussion. And what we heard from Sandy and others was clear. The nature of this work has changed. As we've moved from institutions over decades into community, as that care has shifted into those communities over the past number of decades, with it, the risks have followed, but the coverage has not. And today, workers are supporting individuals with an increasingly complex set of needs and acuities, often in high-risk environments, sometimes working alone. They're trained to respond to serious safety risks, including physical aggression and medical emergencies. And that's why we're here today, because caring for those who care for us matters. That's why today I'm proud to announce that our government will soon introduce legislation that would, if passed, and I have to say if passed, but I can tell you, everybody at Queen's Park of all parties knows who Sandy is. She's been such a strong advocate. This will extend mandatory WSIB coverage to privately operated residential care facilities, retirement homes, group homes, and home care workers of this province who deserve it. This change would protect, it's estimated, an additional 29,000 to 30,000 frontline care workers across Ontario, including personal support workers, developmental support workers, registered nurses, and so many more, giving them clarity, dignity, and the support they need to care for others. These changes would close long-standing coverage gaps across the sector, giving workers access to WSIB coverage like income replacement, health care and rehabilitation services, retraining, and return to work supports, while providing employers a clear, consistent rules across the sector. This is part of our government's broader plan under Premier Ford's leadership to protect workers, strengthen our workforce, and build a more resilient and productive Ontario. Because a healthy and safe worker is a productive worker. And at a time of global economic uncertainty, we are acting to protect workers, to support employers, and to ensure our frontline services remain strong and stable in the best province in the country. In closing, Ontario has one of the most skilled, dedicated workforces anywhere in the world. They show up every day, they do demanding work, and they keep our communities running. Our job is simple, to have their backs, because when workers are protected, they can do their job safely, confidently, and with pride. And that's how we build a stronger, more resilient economy. To all who are caring for our seniors, parents, children, thank you. This government will always be here to support you, because that's what it means to care for those who care for others. Thank you very, very much, everyone, for being here today.
We will now open the floor to questions from the media. Please come to the microphone and state your name and outlet. As a friendly reminder, the format is one question, one follow-up. First question.
Adair, CTV News, Minister Piccini, I guess the obvious question is, what took so long?
You know, I can't speak to the decades prior to us forming government, but what I can say is this took too long. I acknowledge that. And you know, what I've really always valued about Premier Ford's leadership and about the team I get the privilege of working with every day is we always have an open door. And people like Ty, Sandy, and others kicked that door down and said, we deserve these supports. So, you know, I think today is about celebrating, caring for those workers. It is, as you said, long overdue, but it is a collective result of the advocacy of these people behind me today. And you see leaders from unions from all walks of life, so many labor leaders here today, and we wouldn't be here without their advocacy and support of employers. So I really, today's about them and long overdue, but a step in the right direction. And the Premier will never shy away from supporting workers in our government.
Next question comes from my coworker, John Woodward from CTV News, Toronto. Have you been interviewed by the Integrity Commissioner about your handling of the Skills Development Fund, and is there any other update on your end of that?
Yeah, thanks very much for the question. Sorry John's not here today, but I wanted to say, I mean, this fund has helped hundreds of thousands of workers across Ontario. It's helped 100,000 people out of poverty, and we're assisting the Integrity Commissioner with the important work that she does. And because of the independence of that process, a process I fundamentally respect, I have no further comments on that. But, you know, today, as is the case, whether it's a training fund or whether it's supports we provide workers, is about caring for those who care for us and supporting workers who do work in all facets of our society, and nowhere is that kindness and care better exemplified than with the workers here today in a home care setting. And it's about acknowledging their work that, as was said earlier, for too long they've gone without these protections, and today we're evening the playing field for all these great workers. Thank you.
Hi, good morning, Minister. Emily Taylor with CHCH News. The Ontario Nurses Association has said home care is in crisis due to understaffing and a high turnover rate among employees. Can you just speak to how today's announcement goes towards helping out that crisis? And is the government looking at any changes to try and help with that understaffing in this sector?
Well, thank you very much for that great question. Today is about leveling the playing field to support those workers. And I think when you want to attract staff and when workers go to work and roll up their sleeves every day, often dealing with some of our friends and neighbors with the most complex needs, when we say we have your back and you will have WSIB support, I think it does create a more attractive working environment, and that's something that these labor leaders and workers have been advocating for so many decades. But it's not just that; it's about the work we're doing. Historic investments in healthcare. It's not going to be solved overnight, but it's about rolling up our sleeves to build new hospitals, to expand care in the community, $1 billion extra for home care and care in the community. It's about supporting training of workers. We've partnered with SEIU through the Skills Development Fund to help reduce dependency on agency staff and help give workers more opportunities to work and do the great work that they do. So, I think it's rather than one individual action, I would say it's a collection and a suite of actions that this government's taken, working alongside labor, working alongside employers to support our healthcare sector.
And this question's, whoever wants to answer this one, it was mentioned in some remarks, but can you just speak to why this announcement was made in Hamilton and what this will do for Hamilton's workers?
Yeah, thanks for the question. I think the great thing about today's announcement is that, one, workers who haven't been covered under WSIB here in Hamilton will now be covered. Two, workers across this province who weren't covered under WSIB will now be covered in those care settings and retirement homes. And so that's what today is about. And so, Sandy Green, who the minister mentioned, who has worked tirelessly over 4 decades of her life, has committed to doing great work here at Choices. She really has led this work, and so we wanted to honor her work, honor her advocacy right here in Hamilton, and that's why we chose Hamilton as a location to make this announcement. It really is about lifting up people like Sandy Green who do the great work for Ontarians every day, and so that's why Hamilton was chosen.
This will be the last question.
Morning. Question for Minister Piccini. Steve Cornwall here from the Trillium. I'm looking for an update on round 6 of the Skills Development Fund training. Have you selected all the recipients for round 6 yet? And have you signed transfer payment agreements with all of them or most of them kind of to date?
Hi, Steve. Good to see you. Thanks for coming down to Hamilton, birthplace of such strong labor advocacy. Steve, we're continuing to assess Skills Development Fund applicants in round 6. As I said before, this fund, now in its 6th round, has helped 100,000 workers, lifting them out of either or underemployment into jobs. Standing behind me are labor leaders that we've worked alongside to help break down barriers for underrepresented groups, getting people into the skilled trades, reducing our dependency on agency workers. And round 6 will be going ahead, and we'll have more to say very, very soon. So stay tuned.
And then just on the piece around kind of disclosing, there were previous lists of the organizations that had received funding. So I'm wondering if you are going to proactively disclose who they are, who's getting round 6 funding, and as soon as they're signed, and will you disclose how civil servants scored their applications? And if not, kind of, can you tell us why you are not willing to kind of talk about the scores or list the organizations?
Well, as has been the case, we've publicly announced through every successive round, standing alongside leaders like those behind me to talk about the work we're doing to fill in-demand labor market needs, train a next generation of workers, to nation build, to respond to things like President Trump's tariff threats, to be there to support those workers. I don't want to presuppose who will or won't be selected in round 6, but what I will say, as has been consistent in the past, we will be posting those who've been successful. And as I've said before, we've been accepted and followed all of the recommendations of the Auditor General, which has improved accountability, improved transparency, and always really with an eye to be rooted in supporting workers that have been affected through tariffs, affected through things like the pandemic, which was the genesis of this fund. And at its core, we've got a moment here in Canada, not just to stand with healthcare workers, but to stand with all workers who will nation build and who will build a stronger Ontario and a stronger Canada that can stand on its own 2 feet on the world stage and win. And I'm very proud to work alongside labor leaders, employers, to be responsive to those training needs.
Sorry, the application scores, any word on whether those will be posted?
So as we said, we will not be releasing application scores. That's the important work we do with officials, and and includes a number of confidential information that both labor groups, employers, and others have said that they don't want shared. And so this is an important back and forth work that we do. But as I said, we'll be very responsive to those recommendations to improve accountability and transparency in the fund, but really rooted in working with labor leaders, working with colleges, universities, with employers to train a next generation of skilled workers in Ontario. And I look forward to the next round that is going to do just that.
That concludes today's press conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you.